Praise the Lord. Welcome to another explainer. Today we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating details of history and human nature, and we're looking at a deeply personal story. It's really the story of a grieving husband navigating profound loss, and the incredible, absolutely astonishing lengths he goes to just to secure a permanent legacy for his family. This isn't just some dusty ancient transaction. It's literally a masterclass in honor, negotiation, and at its very core, love. Our story today is actually anchored by a truly remarkable number, 127. That's exactly how many years Sarah lived. She wasn't just Abraham's wife. She was his life partner, his absolute closest confidant, and the matriarch of his entire family. So when she passes away at Kiriath Arba, which we also know today as Hebron in the land of Canaan, Abraham is just utterly heartbroken. The text specifically points out that he went there to deeply mourn for Sarah and to weep over her. It's such a profoundly human moment, isn't it? Before he's a shrewd negotiator or a famous patriarch, he's simply a man who has lost the love of his life. Okay, let's dive into this. Genesis chapter 23 grounds our explainer today in the actual historical record of this ancient, deeply human land transaction. We get to see the exact words documenting Abraham rising from beside his dead wife to face the local people. It is incredibly powerful to look at this preserved text because it instantly transitions us from a private, devastating moment of intense grief right into a very public, procedural reality. He has to find a resting place.
A stranger seeks help, approaching the Hittites.
So, Abraham needs land, right? But he humbly approaches the local people, the Hittites, with this astonishing level of deference. He explicitly calls himself a foreigner and stranger among them. I mean, think about that for a second. Here is a man of immense wealth and historical significance, yet he approaches the locals out of a desperate, entirely relatable need to find a burial site for his wife. He doesn't demand a single thing. He just asks for help. And the locals' response? It's incredibly telling. They say, "You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs." They clearly have immense respect for Abraham's status. They're essentially offering him a VIP spot in their own family tombs. But we really have to clarify something vital here. Abraham doesn't just want to borrow a tomb. A borrowed tomb isn't a legacy, right? He needs a permanent, legally binding resting place that belongs to his family forever. He needs full ownership.
Which brings us to the next phase, the public negotiation at the city gate.
So Abraham asks them to intercede with a guy named Ephron who happens to own a specific cave at the end of a field, the cave of Machpelah. Now this sets the scene for a highly public negotiation. Ephron is sitting among his people at the city gate. To put this in modern terms, going to the city gate in the ancient world was exactly like walking into a modern-day real estate title company or a bustling local courthouse. It was the place where official, undisputed public business got done, right in the hearing of all the citizens. And Ephron replies in front of absolutely everyone with this seemingly super generous offer. He says, "Listen to me, I give you the field and I give you the cave that is in it." Now, we need a simple, everyday analogy to really grasp what's going on here. Have you ever been out to dinner with a friend, the check hits the table, and they loudly insist, "Oh, put your wallet away, I've got this," when cultural norms dictate you are absolutely supposed to split it? Well, Ephron is engaging in that exact kind of polite cultural pleasantry. It's a public dance of extreme generosity, but it definitely isn't a literal free gift. And this brilliantly illustrates the cultural gap they were bridging. You have Ephron's public posturing contrasted right up against Abraham's incredibly transparent goal. Abraham bows down again and steadfastly insists, "I will pay the price of the field." He isn't interested in playing a cultural dance or owing someone a massive favor down the line. No way. He is absolutely insisting on a transparent, undisputed legal purchase because he wants absolute certainty for his wife's final resting place. And that leads us right into the cost, 400 silver shekels. This right here brings us to the climax of the whole negotiation. Ephron sees that Abraham is totally resolute, so he smoothly drops the actual worth of the land into the conversation. He says, "Listen to me, my lord. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. But what is that between you and me?" Notice how effortlessly he just slips the asking price right into a sentence that still sounds like a casual favor between friends. 400. That is the very specific price of the land. And what I absolutely love about Abraham in this moment is his rapid decisiveness. He doesn't haggle. He doesn't try to talk Ephron down to 300 or 350. He immediately agrees to the terms. Because when you're securing a permanent legacy out of profound love and respect, you aren't looking for a bargain. You pay what it takes to honor the person you lost. To help you really visualize the real-world weight of this transaction, let's take a look at this. 400 shekels of silver is equivalent to about 10 pounds, or 4.6 kilograms. Just imagine Abraham right there at the city gates, physically weighing out a heavy 10-pound sack of silver on the merchant scales in front of all the Hittites. You can almost hear the heavy clink of the silver hitting the scale, right? This wasn't some quick digital transfer with the tap of a card. It was a highly physical, undeniable transfer of massive wealth,
which finally secures a final resting place, the Cave of Machpelah.
So, with the silver weighed out, let's detail exactly what Abraham successfully purchased here. Because he didn't just get a hole in the ground. The text outlines that he acquired Ephron's field near Mamre, the Cave of Machpelah within it, and crucially, all the trees within the borders of the field. Why the trees? Well, in ancient real estate, detailing the trees and the borders meant you were getting total, undisputed, comprehensive ownership of the land, the whole shebang. And as the text highlights, the entire property was deeded to Abraham in the presence of all the Hittites at the gate of the city. This public exchange essentially served as an unbreakable, ancient property deed. By doing everything openly, fairly, and completely by the book, Abraham officially secured a permanent burial site in Canaan. No one could ever come back, generations later, and claim the land was stolen or merely borrowed. The legacy was completely, 100% secure.
So the crucial point is how we pivot this beautiful, ancient, historical text into modern utility. Let's look at 3 lessons for today. We aren't just looking at all of this to memorize ancient real estate practices, right? We look at this to understand how to handle ourselves when the stakes are high, when emotions are heavy, and when we are trying to build something that truly lasts. So here are 3 actionable steps for daily application. Number 1, honor relationships with respect. Just as Abraham treated Sarah's memory with profound dedication, we must honor our loved ones by taking definitive action for their legacy. Number 2, conduct business with absolute transparency. Remember, Abraham totally refused to play games. He wanted a clear, fair purchase. In our own lives, doing things by the book prevents future conflicts and secures real peace of mind. And number 3, remain humble despite your status. Abraham was literally a mighty prince, yet he bowed down and called himself a stranger, treating the locals with immense dignity. That humility actually gave him the relational capital he desperately needed to succeed. Abraham's handling of grief, business, and community truly sets a timeless standard for all of us. I want to leave you with this final provocative question. What legacy are you building for the ones you love? Are you acting with transparency, humility, and honor to ensure that what you leave behind is totally secure? Take a moment today to reflect on your own life and the permanent marks you're leaving on the world. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe.